Hey,
Hi, Ryan.
how's it going, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Good to see you.
You too. How was your run?
It was all right. It was hot. It was
Yeah.
warm.
Is it hot up there like it is here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what it is in Fahrenheit. 30 degrees Celsius. We're looking at about 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's like here.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited for this. Welcome to Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. I'm very excited today because we have a returning guest, Mr. John Rivoli. You were with us May of 2019. So you said it's been a year, but it's been a year and a couple months.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I guess we've all kind of lost some track of time with what's been going on. I get a little past there.
Okay, yeah, that's fine, yeah. Well, there's no reason why we haven't had you on sooner other than, just life and what have you. But the last time we spoke, we talked about, of course, you revealing the painting of, I guess, the first original painting that you showed, Sly, that almost lifelike one outside that restaurant there. We're going to have you on now to talk about what's kind of happened since then. What has this last year brought, John?
It's pretty amazing because I'm a little surprised at the output of art that I've been able to pump out. And I guess that's just pure passion for the property.
Every time I turn on my my social media, there's another painting by you. And I'm like, how do you have do you have like small children in some sweatshop painting for you? How are you rolling these out so fast?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I know, because I've been looking at my submission tracking that I have to give to MGM, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty much pumping one out every 4 weeks. It seems like I've been putting out a painting since the summer. Last summer,
right?
I got everything's running together on me. I get these just bits of just inspiration. I know exactly what I want to do, and I just kind of sit down and do it. When you have a clear idea or a good blueprint, if you're going to build a house, you have that blueprint, you know exactly what you have to do when you go there in the morning, kind of a thing. I have the same thing with art. I wake up, I'm like, oh, I know exactly this piece. I know what it's going to look like. I know the colors, and I just do it. I'm lucky that way. That I can just work really, really quickly.
I guess that's how an artist's mind works. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I gotta go to work. Where's my coffee? Gotta come home, take care of the kids. I can't even imagine what it's like to be an artist, to see the images that are in your head and putting it in, and then capably put it on a palette. I can maybe come up with ideas, sure, but I can't construct them. So it's amazing how we as humans were so different in our abilities. And so I appreciate for whatever reason, the genetic makeup that you have to create such a beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you. And, coming up with the ideas is a big deal too, that you just said you come up with them. That is very difficult to do. That's no small task.
No.
It's one thing to execute it, but to come up with the concept, that's what always takes the longest for me, is the concept. The actual act of doing it after that point is pretty natural.
Is you not only catch the likeness of Sylvester Stallone and the Rocky or the Rambo character or what have you, and the other artwork that you do of other characters, but you also add, I don't know how to describe it, you're the artist, but you add your own personality and your own John-ness to it.
No, thank you. I mean, there's a couple of things that play there. That's an interesting point. One, I feel great anxiety because I know that unlike the other guys, I actually have to give mine to Sly. It's like before I release, it's like, does this really look like him? Did I really labor over that.
Sure.
And the other thing is, it's funny, my animation background, right now I'm doing all the artwork for Space Jam 2. The character always has to look like the character in every drawing. So there's this thing about consistency with animation that I guess, and I've been doing that for my entire career, and I would imagine something about that is kind of part of what I do. So when I approach Sly, it's like other characters that I do, and I know that he always has to be on model, as we say. I think it's that animation background that allows me to make sure that I get him each time. I did a Rocky III painting, the famous image of Rocky III.
Yeah.
I did that last September 19th. I sent that to Sly before I released it, obviously. he wrote back, I love it, the colors are great, but proportionally, I think it's wrong. So I was like, oh no, like, what did I do? So he's watching, to make sure. That was a tough moment for me because that was the first time that I had run into that, where I did something that wasn't quite right. And I labored over that for the next day, full 24 hours. I was trying to figure this out, and I went and I got the photo, and I'm bringing it in Photoshop with a photo of my painting, and I'm matching it up, and I'm like, I don't understand. It looks like it's right. What happened? I couldn't figure this out. I said, let me go back to the original email that I sent him with the art. And you know how this sometimes happens.
Right.
I grabbed the email. The image got compressed. For some reason, the image just got compressed.
And that's what he saw?
But Ryan, when I tell you this is like, I don't know how the naked eye caught it. I mean, you can't see it, but he saw it. And I wrote back and I explained this to him and I said, Sly, I have to give you a ton of credit. The fact that you caught that just tells me what an eye you have, because he didn't know, but that thing got just pushed down just a little bit and it threw the whole thing off.
Good for him.
Yeah, I was blown away by that. After that, I was like, now I really am very, very, very careful with each image that I paint, because I know if something's wrong, he's going to catch it.
I follow you on Instagram, and I know a lot of our listeners probably already do, but for those that don't, maybe say where they can follow you and see the stories that you're showing and where that location is and what it means to you and what it is you're doing with each painting and where people can see these stories that you're talking about.
My business is Icons in Art, and on Instagram and Facebook, it's at Icons in Art, and it's also at John_Rivoli, my name, because Sly always comments on that one. I have to put everything in the personal one. It was supposed to be just a bit, but he kind of made it so that the personal one got all the traction.
Right.
That's where people can check it out.
Well, I want to say, speaking of, you commented on one of his paintings on Instagram, and he responded to you. I thought that was really cool. I mean, for you, you're kind of like, I talked to him via email or on the phone, but I know for a lot of us little peons, to get a Sly response on his social media is pretty amazing. Do you want to speak to what it is what painting you talked about and his response?
I've done a few of them because he's been posting some, and listen, it's all in pure sincerity.
Oh, of course.
I love his artwork. Mm-hmm. I love his artwork. It's not what I do, so I'm so impressed by it. It's something that I have it over my desk, and I look at his stuff because I always want to be reminded of those vibrant colors and textures that he's so into, and I try to bring that into my world as much as I can. I think he's a ferocious painter. Everything about what he does is so good. He nails the rules of a good painting every time, and it's purely instinctual. It's not scientific for him, and I can tell just by the way it's set up. So I made a comment on one of them recently that, listen, there's certain things that make a great painting, extraordinary painting. And I listed what those were, and I said, you nail it every time. And that's one of the ones where he wrote back and was very appreciative and thanked me. He's like, coming from you, you're an amazing artist, so that means a lot.
That's cool.
So that for me is just like, oh my God, So it's an admiration of each other's abilities as painters. That's really what it comes down to.
Would you say Sly is a Renaissance man?
I've been saying this forever and ever before I met him and got to know him and stuff, but I think that you can count on one hand the true artists on the planet, true artists, and he is right in that list and sits atop of it for me. He is a pure creative machine. Whether it be painting or writing. And let's not discount writing. I write scripts as well. That is one of the hardest things you can do. And it's one thing to be an actor. It's another thing to wake up and have 110 blank sheets of paper on your desk, and you have to fill those with a story and characters and dialogue and everything that makes sense. And he does it over and over and over. He is a powerhouse of creativity. He's a writer, he's a director, and a painter. So to me, he is pure artistry. Him and Bruce Springsteen. Those are my artists.
Agreed, yeah. This is why you and I are a bit of kindred spirits. I feel the same way, and I'm a big Bruce fan, too. I love the storytelling, the talent, and we're both old, too, so that maybe his talent as well.
Exactly. It has something to do with it. Yeah, the poor kids today, they don't have true artists. They don't have true artists. Sorry, kids, you don't.
Not the way we grew up with, no. I know. What did you just release today? We spoke before the show started. You released a new one today. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm always exploring the film, the original film, looking for moments. That's my thing. I try to find the moments where, when I put my writer's hat on, where the character pivots or something big happens and there's a change in their direction or their life. Everyone knows how fascinated I am with round 14. It's no secret. And I've gone in there and I now have 3 paintings from round 14 because I've explored it from all different ways of looking at it. But I went back to round 1. We forget that there's a lot that happens in round 1. And to me, there was one very significant moment at the end of the round when the bell rings. Apollo breaks his nose. Earlier in the film, when he's on a date with Adrian, he tells her 64 fights and I've never had my nose broken. He was very proud of that. As a writer, that tells me that the character has not been tested up until this point. That's what that dialogue is telling us. 64 fights, but he hasn't really fought anyone yet if he hasn't had his nose broken in the ring, you know? So when Apollo busts his nose, it's in that moment where he realizes who he's in the ring with and just what he is into at this moment. Sly is a master of nonverbal acting skills, just a master with his face. I mean, he's got a wonderful face. I've studied it. What he can do with that face is incredible. I put up a video today introducing the new art, and I say all this. You know, he can say more with a look on his face than some actors can with 15-minute monologue. So the look on his face when he pulls himself up on the rope and he knows his nose just got broken, to me, that is just an incredibly powerful moment. So I caught that. I painted that moment, and it's called Welcome to the Fight.
Oh, great title. Yeah, Rocky brings his glove up to his face, I think, in that moment, too. And he's like, oh, I think my nose is broke. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, there it is. That's my new one.
Oh, that is amazing.
So I just wanted to catch that look on Rocky's face when he's like, oh, my God, I'm in a fight. Now I'm in a fight.
That's an awesome. Is that, I assume, is the original?
No, this is a print. The original is big in my studio.
Okay.
But this is one of the prints that you could buy.
Okay. Yeah. I was getting nervous. I don't know why. I get nervous if it was the original.
Oh, no. That's the newest one.
One of these days, you're going to have one of your prints be all like tattered and everything, and then you show it to me, then I can say, that's a good picture, but you don't take very good care of it.
Yeah, take it out of my pocket and unfold it. Hey, here's the new one.
Yeah, check this out. I painted this back when I was 14 years old, but I had no website, you know.
Paint on my thumb.
Yeah, I got paint on my thumbs, you know. All right, that's an awesome picture. So you said you had to have that approved to Sly, correct?
Yeah.
What was his response?
He said, oh, it's fantastic. Oh, my God, all these are fantastic. And he was saying that he wants to buy a bunch of them from me.
Oh, I hope so. He better. The originals.
Yeah, originals.
How do you feel about that?
I feel great.
Okay.
I feel great. Dream come true. You and me, Rocky fans, and Rocky looks at you in a way that I love what you do so much. I want to own it. I can't even wrap my head around that whole notion of what I just said.
That's crazy. I have no talents whatsoever. It would be interesting. I mean, it would be flabbergasted, or even if you just said, oh, yeah, I know about that podcast. It would be weird for that moment for the person that you're doing a whole podcast for to acknowledge that you're doing the podcast. His art and talent has brought joy in my life. Not that my show would ever bring it into his. So I can only imagine what you're feeling to have like something you've created going back to the person that inspired you to create these creations. It's meta.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around. I'm really grateful, and it's like, wow, it took this many decades, but growing up admiring this man's work, and here we are. It's just an odd thing, Ryan, but I never take it for granted. I'm very, very careful with all of it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone that knows you would ever assume or think that you are anything but humble as you are talented. I wouldn't worry about that. And I think Sly knows that too. Little what I know about him, I can't imagine him working with somebody that was a dick about it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Are you allowed to say what you're working on or what the future holds for Icons and Art?
You know, listen, I'm going to continue to explore new scenes from the film that I can get into. The biggest thing that I did this year is that I tried to go in and start creating moments in the film that we haven't seen, alternate angles or things that we know have happened. Because for so many reasons, I mean, we've all seen everything that exists for Rocky. There's a lot of great artists. To take a photo and just paint it, recreate it, okay, I tried to get over that many years ago because I had done that forever. And to me, the ability to do that, to copy a photo, is great. I think it's less of being an artist and more of being just a technician. More than that, I think an artist should look at a subject, look at the moment, and try to reimagine it and bring something to the viewer that they have not seen before, to make them kind of think and refresh it for them and give it new life. So that's what I've been doing. Did it in round 14, where I reversed the angle of the end of the round when he breaks Apollo's ribs.
Right.
And I showed it from, if the camera was on the other side, what does Apollo's face look like in that moment? Because that's the money shot for me. He's telling us everything we need to know. So I did that. And when Rocky gets knocked down in that round, I did a POV from Mickey's view. What did he see? What did he look at when he looked in Rocky's eyes and he's telling him to stay down? And Rocky's going to bring himself up. I've been really doing a lot of that. And I continue to look for those kinds of moments that I can do that. That's kind of where this all started. Because the very first painting I did, the big one in a million shot, I think you have that one.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
That's kind of where it started. That doesn't exist. That was Sly's concept that he said to me verbally, and I went back and had to figure it out and draw it and paint it and all that stuff. So there was no photos for me to look at. So it's funny that that's kind of where it kicked off, and now I'm really deep into that. That's waking up with the 110 pages of blank paper. That's the true artist. What do? I got a blank canvas. I can't look. What am I going to do? That's what I hope to continue doing going forward and separate myself from the pack of all these guys who are throwing in paintings all day long. You know?
Well, I think you're separated. You're working with Sly directly and MGM. That gives you a little bit of, you're a little bit ahead of the pack. My mind was racing as you were talking about your projects and the female perspective in the Rocky films, like an Adrian moment that wasn't maybe on screen or a different angle. And I have one. I have an idea.
Tell me. The concepts are the hardest part.
So I have a bit of an imagination, but I have no ability whatsoever to draw. Picture, okay, so it's Rocky 4. It's when Rocky is holding the lifeless body of Apollo in the ring, and Drago's standing there like a towering figure with a reporter. But you have that kind of, not drawn to detail, but it's just kind of in the background, and you know what's happening, but it's, you know, it's almost kind of blurry, but it's in the background. Yeah. But you have Adrian and Marianne holding each other, hugging each other in grief in the forefront.
Yeah, you see, those are that's very powerful stuff. That's really powerful stuff, Ryan. And that's what I'm talking about. Those are the moments we know that happened in the film world. We know that happened. There was a breakdown out in the audience and hysteria. And so that's exactly it. That's the kind of stuff. That's fantastic. You know, you could send me those ideas anytime you get them.
I don't want put me on a short leash because I can mull that idea over. I know.
Oh, I'm going to. It's funny because I've been trying to come up with something with Adrian, kind of a thing, because I get requests for it, but also the one painting I have with Adrian, Soulmates, you know, the poster.
Yes, love that one, yeah.
That's really popular. My goodness, I had no idea what that would do, but people really like that painting. And it's mostly because Adrian's in it.
Yes, we love Adrian. And Adrian and Rocky. And that's what people who don't know the franchise know it the way, or love it the way that we do. We know it's the love story of Rocky and Adrian.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. All those narratives are driven by the relationship of Rocky and Adrian. Yeah.
It's a love story with a little bit of boxing in it.
Yeah.
I think I said that in one of my recent videos, no doubt.
What else do you have on the horizon with other non-Rocky projects? Because I know you do a lot of. I've seen you do, holding up pictures of like lunchboxes or art in the storage. Like, hey, I did this. Do you want to speak to the work that you do outside of the franchise? Yeah.
So I just recently finished the artwork for the new Tom and Jerry movie that's going to be coming out. So I did all that character artwork that's going to be in there. I mentioned about Space Jam 2 that I'm kind of in the middle of. Been working on that for almost a year. Tons and tons of artwork. Drawing LeBron James over and over into a cartoon version of himself. I actually just did some artwork for Conan the Barbarian. I'm in negotiations right now for the new Arnold animated show. You know, that kindergarten something or other. I forgot, the name escapes me.
I didn't hear about this.
I had a Zoom call last week, and I'm in the running for it. I'm trying to convince them that I'm the right guy to do this.
Oh, nice.
So I'm up for this Arnold show that I hope to get. You know, there's a big thing going on. Rocky turns 45 next year.
Oh, it's insane.
I'm talking to MGM and begging them to allow me to do something for that, a licensing program built around the 45th. So this shutdown has kind of thrown everything off of the rails. I hope that works out, and I hope they give it to me and not somebody else, because that would just be brutal to deal with if somebody else were to get that job.
Sure.
So that's kind of out there too, that the Rocky 45th really needs to be kind of honored.
Boy, it seems like yesterday we were celebrating the 40th.
Right?
Oh, my goodness.
I know, it's exactly right.
Because we talked about the 40th anniversary on our podcast. So I've been doing the show since 2016, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right, because that's where this kind of started, where I did all that art for the 40th, and me and Sly kind of got to know each other a little bit from that moment on. But yeah, 5 years later, here we are. I can't believe it.
So I mean, we're getting older. As the Rocky movie gets older, it's just aging us, I think.
Yeah. Did you happen to see the live watch party that Sly did with the film?
For our listeners, what John's speaking to, because there's a lot of people outside of the U.S. who listen to this podcast, Stallone did a live kind of watch-along commentary with the Rocky film, and unfortunately, everyone outside the U.S. was unable to watch it through the MGM site. It was licensed only to U.S. viewers in Facebook, so anyone outside the USA didn't get to see, unless they had a VPN code breaker or whatever, where they trick their computer to say they're from the States, but most people don't kind of have that stuff. So yeah, I was unable to watch, even though like literally right above you guys, that boundary, that invisible boundary.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I saw.
You haven't seen it still?
No.
Oh, wow. It was really enjoyable.
Well, gee, thanks. I have no doubt that it was. Yeah, so any listeners out there that maybe ripped it or recorded it while it was playing, let me know. Hit me up at gtdwithrr@gmail.com and let me know that you have it, and I'll watch it. Send me the file. I did talk to people about things he talked about and things that he said, but obviously it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
What stuck out to you during that?
Well, I immediately sent him a note telling him that I felt like I was watching it for the first time again. He had so many little things that he was able to throw in there, and things that I had no idea about. And don't ask me what they are, because I don't remember.
No,
but there were things like I had no idea, because we know a lot of stuff, obviously. We're fans, right? It's fun to watch, because you could see him, too. He's on camera. And he just has that he's so passionate about Rocky to this day.
Sure. It is pretty special. I'm trying to think of another artist who's been in a franchise, or maybe even any movie, standalone movie, that would feel the way they feel about a movie 40 years later and talk about it. Unless
you wrote it, I don't think you can have that same attachment and feeling, because remember, he wrote this thing before starring in it and it becoming what it is. There's a whole thing about writing the script. This journey that you go on emotionally and physically in many ways to write that story, there's no surprise how attached he is to it. Especially what it became from his life and how it changed it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get like Harrison Ford being, Indiana Jones, man. It's just, I just love it to this day. He got the lines, he did his thing, and he moved on to the next thing. You know, no ownership emotionally to the property.
It's so weird to think of Sly as nobody at some point. When he was filming Rocky, he was nobody. When he was running down the Italian market there, the guy who threw him the fruit, he just thought he was just chucking some guy jogging fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't even realize, there's a camera in the back of that van? Okay, that's interesting.
That's one of the beauties of the film.
Yeah.
It's so real and so natural and organic the way they just did it. It's something, you can't bottle. It happens like that one time, and it happened for them, and they got it. Everything happened just right. The invention of the camera, the Steadicam, right? Bill Conti. With the music, like everything, kind of boom, boom, everything fell in place, and it's just magic.
It's almost like it's a simulation. How is this possible that something so perfectly executed, or the result of is so perfect in my books of a film, but the bringing it to that end, it was accident after almost missed that, or things that didn't work out made it better. Just a combination of it's weird to me.
I know, it's powerful forces at play. It was meant to be. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know what to say.
So no wonder Sly, we're talking about the Facebook feed, no wonder even, almost 45 years later, it brings memories and joy to him.
For sure. He knows it. That's the moment that changed his life.
Well, the one good thing about, not good thing about COVID, doesn't affect your work as far as being able to work providing paintings and stuff, right? Or...
Well, not with the paintings. The studio stuff, was affected. Some studios just shut down and stopped working, like Universal. We were in the middle of about to do a bunch of stuff for Jurassic Park, and it just stopped.
Right.
Again, the MGM thing, they're just kind of hanging out there. Some of them were so far into production that it had to continue. We were lucky enough to be involved. That's the Space Jam and Tom and Jerry, So some of those were there and we were in it already. Listen, a lot of these, you saw Samaritan shut down. Like, these things just stopped in their tracks. It's tough. Knock on wood, we're kind of hanging in there, but this thing's got to break at some point now. It's got to break. We have to get into this.
When are studios going to open up again? Are movies over? Is it over, or what's going on here?
I don't think it'll ever be over, but look, California, if we talk about this in COVID terms, is in trouble. They're about to shut down again because it didn't go well. They opened up, and instead of slowly easing back into it, everybody just went crazy. Like, we're right back to where we were before this. And now it's all breaking apart on them. So they're shutting down again. Warner Brothers is not going to have their employees back until 2021. They've already said it.
Oh, wow.
They're letting them work from home. I mean, that's just one that I'm in touch with daily. And I don't even know how to answer that. I mean, movies will be back. How we see them is probably going to change, all that kind of stuff. But the product will exist. We love art. We love films. Our culture is based on film in many ways, So that's going to continue to exist. It's just the outlets.
It's an interesting time. Like when we talked 14 months ago, at least, well, we've talked many times since, but I mean, last time you were on the show, we couldn't imagine that our next conversation on the podcast would be this.
No, because I was getting ready to go to the Rocky Run in Philly. I'm getting geared up. It's like the best time of the year for me. I go to Philly and there's 14,000 Rocky fans there, and I get to talk to them and exchange stories, and it's canceled. I had all my new art ready to go, and it's canceled.
That's terrible.
It's brutal.
Speaking of the Rocky Run, actually, why don't those guys want to talk to me?
I don't know. I think that I suggested that last year, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm sure they're great, wonderful people. But I've emailed, I've Twittered them. I'm saying, hey, I run a Rocky podcast. Do you want to talk about the Rocky Run on the?
I will reach out to them again because they should talk to you. You just reminded me about that because I was pushing for that last year.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to contact you, so I'm going to reach out to him again.
Because I would love to hear the story of when this run started, how many people come out, what does it entail, and all the things. Because I don't know all that much about it other than what I see online. But it'd be just nice to hear the story of how it is and who these people are that started it and what have you.
I'll tell you, Ryan, you would love it. It's 3 days of just pure Rockyhood.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's a Rocky fan. They all have stories. And then on the third day of the run, they're dressed up. I had to get up at like 3 a.m. and go to the steps where we had to set up before the city woke up. So it's pitch dark, and slowly the light starts to come up, and they have these massive speakers, and all of a sudden Rocky music just starts blasting about 5 or 6 in the morning.
Nice.
It's nothing but Rocky soundtrack throughout the city. And the people start filtering in. Some are dressed as Apollo, some are dressed as... It's quite a scene. It is an amazing event that you should go see. It's incredible.
I'm living in Quebec. Geographically, I'm only a 6 to 7 hour drive from Philly, where I'm living right now, which is the closest I've ever been to Philly. And my intent was actually to go there this summer, but I can't because the borders are closed. Non-essential travel is closed. Right. So I'm really hoping before I get posted or stationed back to the West Coast where I'm from in 2021, I could go back as early as 2021, that I get a chance to go to Philly. This was supposed to be my chance to go to Philly. It's one of the reasons why I agreed to this posting out here was I was going to be close to the East Coast.
I remember.
I'm getting scared here. I swear COVID was created just to stop me from going to Philly.
Hey, there's something else I wanted to talk about.
Of course.
Quick. That's kind of exciting that I'll just tease a little.
Yes.
I recently met another Rocky fan, but he's also a screenwriter. His name is Robert Bruzio. His movie came out last year. It's called Bottom of the Ninth.
Oh, okay.
Fantastic writer, great guy. And he actually got the team from Rocky to make his movie.
Oh, wow.
Shardoff and all those. It's the same crew. So he's got his poster up on the wall and the Rocky poster next to it. It's like all the same names.
Oh, wow.
It was another dream come true story. So we got to know each other a little bit this past fall. And he's like, hey, I got this idea for something. And he told me it, and I was just like, oh, my God, we have to do this. So we wrote this script that, in the simplest of terms, it's a really creative way of having the next Rocky installment without it being a Rocky movie. So we have something really, really special. And it's been kind of circulating through the world of script readers and all that stuff, and it's getting huge praise right now. It's really, really being looked at. So this could be something super, super cool.
You heard it here first, folks,
Yeah.
as they
Rocky
say.
fans will go crazy with this story. We're fans who wrote it, but we happen to be also artists and writers, so we can really do this,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Do it the right
Wow.
way. Yeah, it's really interesting. The key is we need to get Sly's blessing.
I was going to ask you, where is he on this?
I sent it to him.
Okay.
First, I sent him the log line, which he reacted very positively to.
Okay.
So now I'm just kind of waiting in the wings here. But it's kind of like you really want his blessing, obviously.
Sure.
It's a celebration of him for the most part. It's a celebration of Stallone.
Interesting. Is it a fictitious story?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's not the main character. There's a main character.
I got you.
It may as well be you or me. It's one of us.
Okay.
It's one of us. And how I can't give it away, but how we intertwine with this world, this Rocky world. And there's some cool stuff going on there that allows him to interact.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I don't want you to have to say any more than you're allowed to or what have you. Of course, that's a great tease. Can you promise me that if and when or if, or I'm hoping that this gets made, that I'm going to get the first exclusive with you and Robert? There's
no doubt. Without a doubt. That's why I'm telling you now. I'm kind of planting it. There's a lot of stuff cooking really, really fast with it now. Of course, everybody's like, is Sly on board? Is he cool?
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for that moment. Then we can just go full speed ahead.
Do you need his approval, or would it just be helpful?
You don't need it legally.
That's what I meant. And I know you wouldn't want to do that to him, but
character. It's not like we're using characters that, you know what I mean? It's a celebration of him with Rocky's story, the real Rocky, not the film, the story of him. Legally, no. You would never do it without him.
No, I was just curious.
I wouldn't do that. I would want him to be like, yeah, this is cool, and go ahead.
Of course. That's really exciting. I'm actually, boy.
There's the cliffhanger.
No, that's cliffhanger.
Your last time too, but there's your cliffhanger.
I love it.
Oh, by the way, I still never released that piece of art that we talked about a year ago. Remember the birth of Rocky?
Right.
I still haven't released it. I was about to, and I stopped myself because of COVID. And I thought this will be a great piece for coming out of COVID.
Oh.
Because it's kind of a birth piece. So I'm waiting to see if we ever get past this stupid thing, and then I can release this piece.
Oh, okay.
I'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, please. Creed 3, remember we kind of talked about it before, I think, but now we can officially really talk about it because I think the studio has announced that it's going to happen. It's my understanding that Sly is not going to be in it or involved. In fact, the only part that he'd be involved, I guess, would be characters created by Sylvester Stallone would be the credit on the screen. Are you going to go watch it?
No. If Sly's not in it, if Rocky's not in it, then I have no reason to watch it because I don't have the same attachment to these characters that I did with the original.
Boy, if I was a studio head, I would just be like, if we can't get Stallone to be in it, then we should just... Creed 2 had a nice ending. Let's leave it at that.
Because it doesn't have the same built-in audience that a Rocky does. So what made Creed so great is that all of us, we all came out because it was to us, it was new Rocky movies, right? We're going to go see them.
Yeah.
So if we remove Rocky, what is it exactly? What is it?
I don't know. That's what we discuss on our podcast is like not ad nauseum, but we bring it up every now and then. Of course, Creed 3 once it got announced, and that was pretty much everyone's feeling was, most people are like, sure, I'll probably watch it just because people will watch, not anything, but people will watch Adam Sandler movies on Netflix. I mean, people will end up watching stuff that doesn't mean it's great movies per se, but the curiosity factor of almost like, how will this film hold up without Rocky, I guess is almost the reason to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, it was January. I was in LA and I was having coffee with Chardoff when this was just all starting to come about.
Right.
And I heard in that moment that Sly was not going to be in it. And I was just thinking to myself, oh boy, that's just not a good situation I'd want to be in.
Is Sylvester Stallone really going to do a Rocky 7 with that border issue or immigrant issue? Is that, he's talked about it, but is that just something that rolls around in his head as an artist, or is that something he might really investigate?
Well, I know that it was something that he was working on, and I saw, and you probably did too, on Instagram when he did his Q&A session, and he spoke to this saying that, I think it was that, or it was a separate post, I'm not sure, where he posted pictures of the script that he was writing that day, and I think he said that it was kind of dead at that moment. That there was just too many inner mechanics that were not allowing this thing to move forward. So
Yeah,
I think it's kind of stopped as of right now,
I think we've seen the last of Rocky on screen.
which is why our thing would be so wonderful because
Oh.
it's such a satisfying installment for us. It's so satisfying. I wish I could tell you and I, we're the guys, right? We're the audience. So I already know who we're after and who we're trying to please. And it's like, oh my God, these guys are going to go crazy.
You're killing me. You're killing me. I want to watch this now. I don't even know what it is, but Sly, if you're listening, look at this. This is me responding to getting this thing made. Like the tease alone wants to get me in the seat. So that's a good thing.
We have Burt Young signed on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So he's in.
There you go. Well, I don't know if there's a better note to end on. John, you're a good man. Your artwork is breathtaking. It's awesome. It's amazing. If Sylvester wants to buy the originals, sell him the originals. That's the biggest compliment. But don't go cheap. You know.
How do you price such a thing, Brian? Really, I've been thinking about this. This is a tough spot to be in, right?
Yeah, I know.
I love that hockey sign you got up there. I want to buy it. You're like, okay.
I know you can afford this, but I don't want to also like charge you a lot because I don't want to sound like a jerk. But
exactly,
it's weird. Well, good luck finagling the prices of that one. All right.
Hey, thanks for chatting with me, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Of course, it's a true pleasure. True pleasure.
Catch up a little bit.
You bet. Take care, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds great. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.